if our mouths were filled with song as water fills the sea, and waves of praise upon our tongues as we sing joyfully. Sunlight and the glow of the moon nearby. Ilu, finu, ilu, finu, male shirakaya. Ein anachnu mastikim להודות לך. Shema kolenu Adonai Eloheinu Hus verachem aleinu Vekabel berachamim Uvratzon et tfilateinu. Won't you hear our voice above all the noise and have mercy on our souls? We are in your care. Won't you hear our prayer and forgive us, forgive us. Shema kolenu Adonai Eloheinu Hus verachem aleinu Vekabel berachamim Uvratzon et tfilateinu. When we've lost our way, give us one more day to return to what is true. Won't you take us in so we can begin a new year? Won't you please hear? Shema kolenu Adonai Eloheinu Hus verachem aleinu Vekabel berachamim heart completely. Have I been caring and have I been patient? Have I forgiven without reservation? Do I take my days for granted? Treated others even-handed? And shown compassion to the homeless stranger? Have I been humble before my Creator? Ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, Elo aslichot ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, Elo aslichot ve'al kulam. Have I tread lightly on the planet? Have I held fast to your commandment? And have I raised my voice against injustice? Have I been giving or have I been selfish? Ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, Elo aslichot ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, Elo aslichot ve'al kulam. Selach lanu, mechalanu, kaper lanu, ve'al kulam. Selach lanu, mechalanu, kaper lanu, ve'al kulam. Ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, Elo aslichot ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, Elo aslichot ve'al kulam. Uvechein, uvechein, and then, when wholeness and peace are restored. Uvechein, uvechein, and then, remembering what all life is for. In awe and afraid, taking stock of our days, healed by forgiveness and love. We pray a time will come as we return to the one, that we can become truly one. Uvechein, uvechein, and then, when wholeness and peace are restored. Uvechein, uvechein, and then, remembering what all life is for. When reverence for life is the prayer that unites all people as one family, remembering our light, a spark of the ourselves and in all living beings. Then, just the sound of it gives wings to hope, lays fear to rest, to feel the open wings of possibility, and then imagine.
Being kind, oh, loving kindness, living kind. Will you choose the love inside you, been put down by what we've been through? Can you what we do to one another and what we say to each other, it's all compassion. So we'll fill the world, so we'll fill the world, we will fill with kindness, being kind, oh, loving kindness, living kind, kindness, being kind. That clogs our connectivity with every letter. It plagues the world's immunity. It's our lack of curiosity. We can do better. Let's fill the world instead. Let's fill Gmar Chatima Tova. Shana Tova. Nice to see you again after 10 days. Thank you, Bill. I wanted to start the evening with a story about the great Reb Zusha. Reb Zusha was found very agitated and upset as he lay on his deathbed. And his students were like, Rebbe, why are you so sad? After all the amazing things that you've accomplished, after all the great things you've done, after how kind you've been your whole life, surely a place for you in heaven is assured. And Reb Zusha looked at his students and he said, I'm afraid, because when I get to heaven, God won't ask me, Zusha, why were you not more like Moses? Zusha, why weren't you more like King David? I'll be asked, Zusha, why weren't you more like Zusha? And then what will I say? That's the question that each of us are asking ourselves in the next 25 hours. This day is supposed to mimic for us our last day on this planet. And we're about to be asked, why weren't you more like you? And each of us will have our answer, or many answers. And they're all unique, just as each of us and each of our life's energy, our life's purpose is different. What is the same about each of us is that we're all human beings. And I assume that's why we're here, to answer these questions, to ask ourselves who we were this past year and make changes that will make us better people this year. Or perhaps, perhaps it's not that we need to be better people, but it's to realign ourselves, to put aside all that takes us away from just being us and find our true selves in the midst of all the noise that keeps us from just being ourselves. And to be honest, whether you're here because you'd feel guilty if you weren't here tonight, or you're here because someone else may have compelled you to be here, or if you're here and wondering why you're here at all, I say, whatever that reason is, of everywhere that you could be at this exact moment of your life, we're all just sharing this space right now. We're all here doing the exact same thing with each other. So let's take advantage of this time that we have together. This is a gift for every one of us. It's a gift to deepen our lives and to discover something hopefully new about ourselves. Let's begin to do that together. Just want to call your attention to the fact that the liturgy not only is in your Machzor, but it will also be on the screen. And even if we call out a page number, the page numbers are also on the screen in the upper right. I think it's in the upper right-hand corner of where all the words are to these prayers. So please try to participate as much as possible. So let's bring the light of this holy day into the room and invite the entire Corwin clan that's here with us, Tony and Kara and David and Emmett and Danny and Zoe and Jesse. All of you, if you could please come forward here to bring the light into your sanctuary.
Is the lamp of God, searching out what lies within us.
Guided by the Let's all read this part together. Wait a minute. Do we have a page number for this?
I gave you the microphone.
I know. I have my own. Now, guided by the flame of conscience, on this sacred night, we search for
the
truth.
Shine your light upon us as we strive to serve you. May we find safety in your faithful love.
We light the flame of healing and forgiveness. On this atonement night, we give thanks for love.
Let us light these lights for the world tonight. Let our hearts unite in the light, in the light. Let us light these lights for the world tonight. Let our hearts unite in the light, in the light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel yom hakippurim. Lehadlik ner shel yom hakippurim. Let us light these lights for the world tonight. Let our hearts unite in the light, in the light.
That realignment I was talking about earlier really begins now as we hear the Kol Nidre prayer and that familiar melody. Our realignment comes through the act of teshuvah, which we will do throughout the time we have together on this day. We do it personally, we do it communally, we do it for ourselves, and we support each other. And it begins really by giving ourselves a break. It begins with us being kind to ourselves. Kol Nidre. Basically, we let go of our vows before we even take them. This is an act of grace. It's an act of kindness. The first moment of a practice in teshuvah. Teshuvah is to return, like we're returning to our core. This is our spiritual practice. Practice because, I don't know about you, but you may have noticed that each year you might repeat some of the vows that you took last year and the year before that and the year before that and in 2006 and 1994. Sometimes it takes a lifetime to truly return to ourselves, but we continue to practice teshuvah. There have been mistakes and missteps, and we haven't been perfect. And tonight is here to say, it's okay. It's a practice. It is the pursuit that's most important. The intention is most important. And this prayer is here to say, you've already been forgiven if you aren't able to keep any of the vows that you make in the next 25 hours. So you have permission to forgive yourself as well. And through that kindness, you may find the light inside of you that leads towards this goodness and love and kindness that we seek. I'd like to welcome the Fuhr family who's been making their way up the side this entire time and make room for them. And I would like to call upon our witnesses that will be, which really are the Torahs, but those that are holding the Torah, Aaron and Adam Weiner, and the Cahan family, Ronnie, Laura, Zoe, Asher, and Samantha. They'll be coming up to hold our witnesses. The Torahs act as a Beit Din on this evening, as a court of law that will look over all of our deeds. We're on page 14 for Or Zarua. When the ark opens, that's the cue to rise.
kon hameir vechinuyei vechinusei ushavut din
Thank you to all who helped us bring in Kol Nidre, our Torah holders, our ark openers, our quartet, and our choir and cantor. Give us the strength to keep our promises, the sacred vows of partners in marriage, the promises of love and care between parents and children, the promises of duty between citizens and country, the oath of doctors, the sacred trust of teachers. Give us the strength to keep our promises to our friends and colleagues, to those who live with us and depend on us, to those who work with us and those for whom we work, to those who pray with us and those for whom we pray, to those we love and those we serve. Give us the courage to keep our promises to ourselves, to one another, and to future generations. We continue with V'nislach, a hopeful note that we will succeed in our spiritual work over these next 25 hours.
Page 20. We turn back to page 7 for Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam. You bring us here. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam. You keep us here. Shehechianu, v'kiyamanu, v'higianu lazman hazeh. Shehechianu, v'kiyamanu, v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Continue standing.
We're going to stay standing as we move to the Baruch Hu. It's on page 22 of the Machzor, and as they're getting ready to go down, I just want to point out something on this prayer. The way the Baruch Hu works is the first line is given by the cantor to remind us why we're here. And then there is a tradition where, even though you know the words that are coming next, to act a little bit surprised. That she says, Baruch Hu Adonai Hamvarach, and it's like, hey, are you ready to pray? And you're like, oh yeah, I remember now what I'm here for. So let's see if we can bring a little spontaneity into that second line after the cantor delivers the first. Page 22, Baruch Hu.
Hear me now? Yes. All right. You may all please be seated. Usually, when we recite Shema, we whisper that second line, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'alam Va'ed. We say it to ourselves very, very quietly. But on Yom Kippur, it is the only day of the year when we say it aloud as one community. The first line of Shema comes directly from our Torah text, from Deuteronomy 6:4 to be exact. But the second line is nowhere to be found in Torah. The rabbis of the Talmud surmise where it comes from. One of the legends tells us that it comes from the moment in Genesis when Jacob lays on his deathbed and all of his children are gathered around him to bring their father comfort, to assure him that they will not stray from God after his death. They tell him not to worry, Father. And in response, Jacob is so relieved and ecstatic. He says loudly, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. So the rabbis say that on Yom Kippur, this holiest day of the year, we say this line aloud with fervor, just as Jacob did in this story. We declare that we are here, part of the Jewish people, that we are proud to be celebrating our Jewish faith tonight. When we say Shema right now, let us declare both lines loudly and proudly.
We're on page 28. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Mi Chamocha is the Jewish freedom song. And tonight, as we get ready to sing Mi Chamocha together, I am lifting up the notion of choice. We each have the freedom to choose our values and to live accordingly. Yom Kippur brings a fresh opportunity to ask ourselves, What choices do I want to make in the year ahead as I cross over, as the Israelites crossed over, but for me, into these next 25 hours of Yom Kippur? How do you want to cross over and enter into a yet undiscovered year? Mi Chamocha is on page 40.
Mi Chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi Chamocha netar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot osef eleh. Malechutecha ra'u vanecha, בוקי הים לבני משה ומרים, זה לי אנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדרנה את יעקב וגאלו מיד הזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני. ברוך וברוך שמו גל ישראל.
We traditionally sing Hashkivenu. It's really a Jewish lullaby of sorts every single night. Hashkivenu allows us to face the fact that we're vulnerable while we sleep. We're unable to see the world around us, unable to respond to whatever might be happening. On this Kol Nidre, we feel a similar vulnerability as we admit to the powerlessness that we have over much of our lives. Therefore, we ask God to shelter us with really this canopy of protection under which we can admit that we sometimes miss the mark. We didn't necessarily act in the way we wish we could have. Where we ask God to give us the courage to forgive others and to forgive ourselves. We're next going to sing just actually a small part of Hashkivenu, Ufros Aleinu. Spread Ufros Aleinu over us, this canopy, a shelter that brings us peace, comfort, and acceptance of the human vulnerability that we all share.
Ufros Aleinu, Sukkot Shomecha, Ufros Aleinu, Sukkot Shlomecha. Sing with us. Ufros Aleinu, Sukkot Shlomecha, Ufros Aleinu, Sukkot Shlomecha.
Actually, Rabbi Aaron wrote that beautiful song. The Amidah is the time in our service where we all it's It's two things at once. We all at once approach the divine, but we do so personally. It's a tall order coming up with the words that we want to speak to God. So we take a moment now to prepare our bodies and to prepare our souls. What is it that you want to say to God on this Kol Nidre? Perhaps you'd like insight into who you really are. Perhaps you'd like compassion so that you can more easily forgive yourself and others. Or perhaps you'd like the courage to face your shortcomings. Whatever you are seeking, take a moment now to really embrace it. Remember, we are all approaching the divine together, but the personal words of your heart are your own. What do you need to say now to that Holy One on high? I'd like to welcome forward Helena and Suzette Wachtel, Sandy Gooch, and Harry Letterman to open the ark for our Amidah, and I'll invite everyone, if you're able, to please rise.
We're on page 46.
Please take a few minutes now to pray silently using the prayers in your hearts. You may be seated when you are finished.
Last week, you met President Kara Corwin. This week, I'd like to invite Farhad Novian, our other president, to come forward to say a few words. Oh, yeah, they are written out. Welcome.
Thanks. That's fine. You sure? Yeah. Gamar Chav Tova. It's good to be here. My name is Farhad Novian, and Temple Emmanuel's been our family's spiritual home for close to 2 decades. Together with Kara Corwin, who you met last week, I have the privilege of serving as Temple Emmanuel co-president. Kara, thanks for all that you did on Rosh Hashanah. I enjoy working with you. Thank you. What an honor it is to serve this long-standing synagogue in Beverly Hills as its co-president. After all, Temple Emmanuel has served this community for more than 85 years. I repeat, 85 years. That's a long time. Kindness, chesed, kindness. My father, Nema, was a very kind man. He always spoke softly, smiled, and gave through his heart with a smile. He treated everyone with kindness and respect. always. His father and my grandfather, Bemuni, as a baker in the Jewish Persian ghetto in Tehran, used to loan out loaves of bread to fellow Jews in the Jewish community based on IOUs, which mysteriously disappeared, essentially giving bread away for free. He was kind. This year's kindness theme has resonated in my mind since Rosh Hashanah. I have to say, kindness is pretty good. It's contagious. It's good. I say it to myself once or twice or 3 times a day. Let's be kind. And it works. Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, Temple Emmanuel. As Jews, we share an amazing and innate bond. As a child in Iran, we used to pray in tents, praying strong as a Jewish community. That Jewish bond has allowed us to become the strong communities that we stand here today throughout the world. That bond is strong. Let's keep it strong. Beyond mere tents, I've had the habit of visiting synagogues in many cities that I've visited, from Cape Town, where you needed an appointment and a passport to get into a synagogue, to Istanbul, a country that today is 99% Islamic, where it's difficult to even form a minyan, to the great synagogue in Budapest, which was truly remarkable, holding 3,000 people, and many other cities and monolithic structures from the past. I should have used my iPad, Rabbi. Temple Emmanuel is remarkable. Recently refurbished icon of modernism, designed by prolific modern architect Sidney Eisenstadt. Completed in 1953, it is a low yet massive building clad mostly in brick, with a main facade that features brick arches tapering to fine points before they connect with the ground, making the building seem much lighter. After all, it was his vision that a synagogue should be horizontal in shape and not vertical, because God dwells among us. For me, this design evokes a tent in the desert, like those used by ancient Hebrews or even the Jews in Iran. The real blessing, though, in this structure, which has been brought to life, is that which has been brought to life by our clergy, the choir, the staff, and the volunteers that breathe life into our synagogue, which can only shine brightly as the people within it, each of you. Thank you to each of you for being here, for making this temple so strong. Without its members and the support we each give this synagogue, the synagogue could be like the synagogue in Turkey, or any other synagogue which was recently afflicted by COVID-19 pandemic, or what we are experiencing these days through the internet. Less participation, less physical participation in our synagogues. Our interaction with Temple Emmanuel and his clergy should not be transactional. Religion and lifestyle events should not be mere items you shop for. We're not here to shop. As members of the same team, we should embrace our synagogue and its clergy and breathe life into this synagogue through our actions and those of our children and grandchildren. So, I ask you, fellow congregants, for the following. I'd like for you to please make a meaningful tax-deductible contribution to Temple Emmanuel of Beverly Hills. Please. Every donation, no matter the amount, has the value and is meaningful. The clergy, our executive director, Sarah Heiner, and the staff work so hard to present this beautiful service here tonight through the year. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you all. Give money where it's needed to support our clergy. Please. Give money to support the staff and our schools, especially our ECC, Early Childhood Center. It's so beautiful. Such good faculty. It's an amazing program. Keep this place the vibrant place that it is today. Like many other houses of worship, our synagogue is currently running on a deficit. Believe it or not, we're running on a deficit. And we need the support of this entire community. Thank you. I also want to take a moment to thank our pillar members, 110 pillar households who've answered the call once again by contributing above and beyond our suggested annual dues. Your generosity nourishes Temple Emmanuel and gives us the foundational support needed to provide services and programming for everyone in this community. And we'll talk about some programming tomorrow when I see you all here tomorrow. We have some great programming here, we do. Thank you, pillars. Through your efforts, we will undoubtedly make our synagogue the best it can be. Most importantly, thank you to everyone who has renewed your membership and have decided to become a member for the first time. And for those of you who are here considering to become members. In a world full of disconnect and disaffiliation, your commitment to our community means everything. And we promise to work diligently to make sure you find value from our membership dues and you feel valued as individuals in our temple community. It's important to note that the revenue from membership dues only covers about 30% of our operating costs. That's why we rely on your generous donations throughout the year in order to meet our annual budget targets. One of those times of the year is right now for the High Holy Day Appeal. Right now. Please. Jewish guilt. I beg you. We are being watched. All of us here at the synagogue, the lay leadership, clergy, and staff are busy making plans not just for this year, but for the next 70 years so we can continue to be a vibrant, relevant institution in the next century. To realize this goal, I ask that you give to Temple Emmanuel's High Holiday Appeal. Let's do this together. Close your eyes. Breathe deep. Be kind. Pick up the envelope. Where did it go? Where did it go? Oh, it's right here. Pick up this card, please. Fill it out. Any amount will do. Thank you. Think hard and get someone to enroll in our ECC. Membership in the ECC, or at least attendance in our ECC, brings membership. Membership has its privileges for the synagogue and for everyone else around us. You know, Amazon changed the way we shop, didn't it? DoorDash changed the way we eat. Let's not change the way we pray and support our Temple Emmanuel with your donation and school enrollment. Please give generously, for what you plant today is sowed tomorrow. Put some money down on this wonderful community and keep Judaism relevant. Please reach out and connect with either me or Kara Corwin. Keep it kind, and most important, be kind to yourself. Gamar Chatima Tova. Thank you. We have people who are coming around to pick up envelopes. Please and thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We continue now with a prayer for healing. We're going to be hearing Heal Us Now by cantor Leon Scher. It uses the words that Moses prayed for his sister Miriam when she was gravely ill in our Torah. El na rafana la, God, please heal her. It is one of the most simple prayers, one of the most raw prayers, and some poets argue that it's actually one of the most beautiful prayers in our entire tradition. Your rabbis, myself and Rabbi Aaron, will walk around our sanctuary now collecting names. If you're thinking of anyone who needs a prayer for healing of the body, mind, or soul, please share them with us. And then we'll sing for their healing together.
Bob Swift, Sis Klein, Sue, Nadia, Lois Lemon, Rita Newman, Ruth Swordlow, Aliana and Miriam, Sarah, Lori, Kamen.
Refa'enu Adonai. Refa'enu Adonai v'nei rafeh, Hoshienu v'nei vashea, El karov v'chol karov, ach karov lireav isho. The words are on the screen. We pray for healing of the body. We pray for healing of the soul, for strength
את נחלתך, ורעים ונשאים עד העולם. מי שברך אבותינו, מי שברך אמותינו, אנא אדוני הושיענה. We pray for healing of our people. We pray for healing of the land and peace for every race and nation, every child, every woman, every man. Elna Refana. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat ha-nefesh, refuat ha-guf, refuat shelema. Elna Refana. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat ha-nefesh, refuat ha-guf, refuat shelema. Heal us now. Heal us now. Heal us now.
Now we prepare ourselves really for call it the meat of the Yom Kippur service, our confessional. When I was young and learned the alphabet, life was open to me. A was full of aspiration. B was for beauty. C for confidence. And D for dreams. And so on through the list, no fewer than 26 opportunities, 26 possibilities. And yet I fear that with the passage of time, I've squandered them, creating instead A's of apathy, B's of brusqueness, and C's of coarseness. Help me then to return to that innocence. Let the letters be letters once again. Let them rise to the heavens and form into the words that you know I wish to say. Please rise in body or in spirit for Ashamnu, our alphabet of confession. Page 82. This is that moment where with each one of the words, we pound our chest to get our heart moving and to feel once again. Avinu Malkeinu. days of new.
Lots new.
Lots new.
Marad new.
Maradu.
Niats new.
Niats new.
Sarar new.
Sararu.
Avinu.
Avinu.
Hashanu.
Pashanu.
Sararnu.
Sararu.
Kishinu oreh.
Kishinu oref.
Rashanu.
Rashanu.
Shichatnu.
Shichatnu.
Tiavnu.
Tiavnu.
Tainu.
Tainu.
Titanu.
Tirtanu. Let us read together on 82. Together. Of these wrongs we are guilty. We betray, we steal, we scorn, we act perversely, we are cruel, we scheme, we are violent, we slander, we devise evil, we lie, we ridicule, we disobey, we abuse, we defy, we corrupt, we commit crimes, we are hostile, we are stubborn, we are immoral, we kill, we spoil, we go astray, we lead others astray. At this moment, we acknowledge that we're human and we've missed the mark. We've gone astray from ourselves. Together as a community, we confess to what we've done. I will speak for you. You will speak for me. And at this moment, like that alarm, we're all here to support each other. Might want to put your phones on stun. At the same time, that's okay. You're forgiven. But truly at this moment, if you look at the person around, the people around you, we're all responsible for each other right now. We're all here to support each other, and we continue with Al-Chet, the list of sins. We're on page 86. We'll do this first line Hebrew, continue in English. Let's keep going through this, being honest with ourselves.
Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha,
the ways we have wronged you deliberately and by mistake, and the harm we have caused in your world through the words of our mouths. Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you by hardening our hearts, and harm we have caused in your world through careless speech. Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you through lies and deceit, and the harm we have caused in your world through gossip and rumor. Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you by judging others unfairly, and harm we have caused in your world through disrespect to parents and teachers. Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you through sincere apologies, and harm we have caused in your world by mistreating a friend or neighbor. Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you through violence and abuse, and harm we have caused in your world through dishonesty and business. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you openly and secretly, and harm we have caused in your world by losing self-control. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you through sexual immorality, and harm we have caused in your world through consumption of food and drink. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you by giving in to our hostile impulses, and harm we have caused in your world through greed and exploitation. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you through cynicism and scorn, and harm we have caused in your world through arrogant behavior. 90. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you by hating without cause, and harm we have caused in your world
through offensive
speech. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you with a slanderous tongue, and harm we have caused in your world through a selfish or petty spirit. Please be seated for a moment. I'd like to call upon Sandra Arenberg, Cindy Arenberg, Leo and Kate Reinheimer, Chuck, if he can make it up, and Scott Klein, perhaps, to come on up to open the ark for us. Before we recite Avinu Malkeinu, we're on page 113. Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice. Some of us have cancer. Some have lost strength of body. Some have lost memory and speech. Some of us are in pain. Some can't find work. Some of us bear the marks of human cruelty inside where the scars don't show. Some will live with depression, some battle addiction. Many feel alone. Some have known shattered marriages, trust betrayed, hopes destroyed. Some of us have lost the ones we love far too soon. And some have lost a child. All of us have seen suffering in our midst. All of us know the ravages of war for which there are no words. Avinu Malkeinu, why? Avinu Malkeinu, are you there? Do you care? Avinu Malkeinu, hear our pain, hear our anger, and hear our grief. Avinu Malkeinu, here is our prayer. Give us the strength to go on. Give us reasons to get up each day. Give us purpose and persistence. Help us to fend off fear and to hold on to hope. Help us to be kind. Don't make us bow or grovel for your favor. Give us dignity. Give us courage. Avinu Malkeinu, show us the way to a year of goodness. Renew our belief that the world can be better. Restore our faith in life and restore our faith in you. We continue with Avinu Malkeinu on page 115. Please rise in body or spirit.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol aleinu.
You may be seated.
I'll never forget how I spent Yom Kippur at age 20. I was living in Jerusalem for the year, and having only moved a few weeks prior, I didn't yet have any close friends. My roommates were with their Israeli families for the holiday. In Israel, the public transportation pauses during the Chagim, and I didn't live walking distance to any of the shuls. This was before the COVID pandemic, so virtual services weren't an option. I spent Yom Kippur alone for the first time. I cannot remember exactly what I did. Maybe I took a long contemplative walk. I probably fasted, but I can't be sure. The only part of this that has left a lasting impression is the pit that formed in my stomach upon realizing that for the first time, I would be spending the holiest day of the Jewish year, 25 long hours, alone. I felt pathetic. I felt nervous. I felt lonely. In truth, much of that year was an exercise in facing loneliness. I had decided to study abroad to deepen my Jewish identity and to prepare myself for rabbinical school, to explore a country I had visited before and loved. I never expected to feel such profound isolation. I struggled to make friends at first. I felt like everyone around me knew what they were doing. They were all having a great time, and I was floundering. I yearned for the embrace of my loved ones, to be with them for the gatherings and the milestones that they all seemed to be having together while I watched on from halfway across the world. I gained self-knowledge and confidence that year. I also gained newfound appreciation for the pain of loneliness. Ironically, I was not alone in my loneliness. None of us ever are. According to a 2021 Harvard University study, 36% of Americans, including 61% of young adults and 51% of mothers with young children, feel serious loneliness. 43% of young adults reported increases in loneliness since the start of the pandemic. About half of lonely young adults in the survey reported that no one in the past few weeks had taken more than a couple of minutes to ask them how they're doing in a way that made them feel like anyone actually cares. And these numbers have consequences. Loneliness is a factor in a whole host of other health problems, including depression, anxiety, heart disease, substance abuse, and domestic abuse. Research finds that lacking in meaningful social connections carries the same, if not greater, health risks as heavy smoking, drinking, and obesity. In Genesis, we read, "It is not good for humanity to be alone." Apparently, this is a timeless truth. I want to be clear that being alone and feeling lonely are two very different things. I'm actually someone who relishes my alone time, whether this be a relaxing night to myself, or a long walk around my neighborhood, or taking a solo trip to the beach. Being alone sometimes makes me feel like I can be my truest self. It gives me the space and the peace to recharge. And being alone is a very Jewish thing to do. It was Rabbi Nachman of Breslov who popularized the notion of hitbodedut, of spending time alone with God. He wrote, set aside time each day to meditate and pray alone in a room. Perhaps find some meadow and express your innermost thoughts, your prayers, your personal feelings to God. Our prayer services, like tonight, always have time for both communal prayer but also private prayer, because the Jewish tradition knows that being alone with God allows us to express ourselves in ways that being a part of a minyan cannot. That being said, feeling lonely is different. Feeling lonely means feeling isolated and not having an outlet to fully express ourselves. It feels like not being seen and not being heard, like life is happening around you and you're on the outside looking in. Feeling lonely doesn't bring peace, it doesn't bring space, it doesn't bring recharge. It brings heartbreak. Loneliness can be emotional, the absence of having meaningful relationships in our lives, even when it seems like we're surrounded by a whole community. It can be social, like not having enough people to turn to, or really missing that one special person in our lives. It can be existential loneliness, feeling separate from the world and not having meaning in life. Loneliness happens across all life stages, and it happens to everyone. Research actually suggests that the capacity to feel lonely is an evolutionary adaptation unique to humans. Perhaps loneliness motivated our ancestors to seek connection, with other members of their tribe, and this would increase their chances of survival and of passing the tendency to feel lonely onto the next generation. Not only is it human to feel lonely, but our tradition teaches that God, too, sometimes feels lonely. To feel lonely is to be B'Tselem Elohim, to be in the divine image. According to rabbinic legend, God created the world specifically because God was lonely and was searching for a partner in humanity. Since creation, God craved this connection with humanity, and that is the impetus, we learn, for the building of the Mishkan, that portable sanctuary that traveled with the Israelites in the desert. We read in Exodus 25, "Va'asu li mikdash v'shochanti betocham," and let them make for me, God, a sanctuary that I may dwell among them. The Mishkan provides a physical space for God and humanity to be present together and to connect for the first time. This is what makes the Mishkan a holy space. As God directs the Israelites to build the Mishkan, thereby easing loneliness through presence and connection, so too can we. 20th century Jewish philosopher Martin Buber wrote a guidebook of sorts for the power of human presence. In his book, I and Thou, he divides relationships into two categories. On the one hand, we have I-it relationships, and on the other hand, we have I-thou relationships. Being in an I-it relationship is about being perhaps physically present with another, but not emotionally or spiritually there. It's about treating that interaction as a transaction, that other as a thing. Think about how you might treat a cashier or a waiter. You might be nice to this person because you need something, but not because you genuinely care. I-it relationships are alienating. They leave us feeling depressed or distant from the others around us. And yes, they can leave us feeling lonely. I-thou relationships, on the other hand, make us feel like our fullest selves. They involve full presence. They involve being with another person, really looking them in the eye, really seeking to understand and validating their experiences. Think about the last time you really connected with a person, learned something about them that stopped you in your tracks, where you could just be accepted with them as yourself. Ultimately, Buber concludes, when two people relate to each other humanly and authentically, God is the spark, the electricity that exists between them. Just now we recited in our service, Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, for the ways we have wronged you deliberately and by mistake, and the harm we have caused in your world through the words of our mouths. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, for the ways we have wronged you by hardening our hearts, and the harm we have caused in your world through careless speech. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, for the ways we have wronged you through insincere apologies, and the harm we have caused in your world by mistreating a friend or a neighbor. All of these point to the simple sin of not being present with the others in our lives. Not really making these people feel seen, not really making these people feel heard. Yes, being present requires time and attention in a world that is always demanding so much of us, pulling us in a million different directions, in a world that makes us feel like we are never giving enough of ourselves. Ultimately, though, being present is the kindest thing that we can do for another human being. It entails giving these most precious of resources, our time and our attention, resources that we can never get back, to another person. And it's important. It can make a profound difference in someone else's life, and it can enrich your life too. Martin Buber explains why in a later book of his, Between Man and Man. He writes, "In my early years, religion was for me the experience of exceptional moments. Regular life was about customary tasks, but religion was about illumination and ecstasy and rapture. It was an extraordinary event that taught me how wrong this was. One afternoon, I had a visit from an unknown student of mine, but I wasn't there in spirit. I was certainly friendly. I treated him politely. I conversed attentively and openly with him, only I failed to guess the questions that he didn't ask. Not long after, I learned from one of his friends, he himself was no longer alive, the real content of these questions. I learned that he had come to me not accidentally, but brought by destiny. Not for a chat, but for a decision. He had come to me. In this hour of his need, he had come to me. What are we looking for when we are in despair and we go to another person asking for help? Surely we're looking for a presence that lets us know that whatever happens to us, life has meaning and it has worth. Buber concludes, since then I've given up the search for religious experiences. The only mystery in life that is available to us is that which happens right here. Religion belongs to all moments. It is simply leaving all moments open to the possibility of dialogue. Yom Kippur is about considering how we can act better in the year ahead. With its majestic liturgy and its soaring music, which we have heard tonight, I know that the pressures of this day can feel immense. But I'm also here to remind you that Yom Kippur and Judaism at large, they're not about seeking perfection. They're about taking small steps to be better, and presence is a part of this. Presence is one of the simplest tools we have. Presence is one of the simplest tools we have to make humanity better, to enrich our own lives, and to ease the problem of loneliness in our world. What would it look like for all of us to recite Al Chet next year and think to ourselves, hey, I made a real effort to be deliberate in my actions. I tried to use the words of my mouth for good. I sought to open my heart to others, to use my speech with care. I spoke sincerely, and I gave them my time, and I gave them my attention. I gave them my presence. How might the others in our lives feel, and how might we feel more connected? One day, a few months into my year in Israel, a classmate and I decided to grab coffee between classes. I learned she was from Brooklyn and she had traveled solo in Italy for a month before starting our semester in Israel. She was quiet, she was sweet, she was smart. Her stories were interesting to me. I learned that she too was feeling lonely and a little unsure of herself. As the year went on, we spent more time together and we grew closer and closer. By the end of the year, we had so many adventures together. Today, she's one of my best friends. The friendship blossomed out of a decision that we both made one day between classes to be present with each other. And this made all the difference. To be human is to know the pain of loneliness. Yet as humans, we also have the power to do something. We have the unique ability to be deliberate with our time and with our attention, to make each other feel seen and make each other feel heard, to ease the world's loneliness. In this next year, let us treat each encounter as one ripe with holy possibility. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May it be so.
I'd like us to turn to page 122, please. At this time, we recall those that have been a part of our family, been a part of our friendship circle who are no longer with us. And as we say Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish, we say it as a community for those that have no one to say it for them. And we say it for those that were lost in the Holocaust, those that died from COVID-19. We say it for those that have died from the natural disasters in our world recently and for the violence that continues in our world to take life. Let us rise together, 122, to say Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah Be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael Ba'gala v'zman kariv v'imru Amen.
Yehei
Shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'l'olmei al-maya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh V'yithadar, v'yit'aleh, v'yit'halal, Shemei d'Kedusha b'richu, Le'ela u'le'ela mikol berchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, Damiran v'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shalama rabba min Shemaya, V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru Amen. May the one who causes peace on high cause peace to reign amongst us, all Israel and the whole world. And we say,
Amen.
Amen. You may be seated for a moment. Very quickly, I wanted to go through some announcements. First is our service begins at 8:30 in the morning tomorrow. You can see the schedule there. But the real part of the schedule I want to point out comes in the afternoon. After our adult service at noon, at 3 o'clock, we have Contemporary Issues Forum, where we have Trudy Goodman, Dr. Trudy Goodman, who is the founder of Insight LA, which is a mindfulness and meditation institute. It's a really beautiful program that we have planned for that at 3 o'clock. At 4:30, we have our contemplative afternoon experience, which will be a creative reading of the book of Jonah with some thoughtful, contemplative moments throughout. So please join us for that at 4:30. Then at 5:30, we're going to open up the ark, clear everything off the bima, and everyone will have an opportunity to come up and to pray in front of the Torahs. At the same time that that's happening, we're going to have a I guess it will be like a PowerPoint or a video. And if you notice, you have cards there in front of you that say, kindness is, or I want to be more kind by, and there's a whole bunch of things there. We'd love for you to fill those out. If you can fill it out before you leave tonight, there are boxes out there to put them in. We put those up on the screen so that as we're sitting quietly and people are up at the ark, that we get to see what people are going through in their lives right now. It's one of my favorite moments of the entire High Holy Days is to sit quietly and hear what people are going through in their lives. So please fill those out so that we have enough of them. Tomorrow, you can still donate to our High Holy Day donation drives. We're supporting SOVA and Volunteer Collective by donating non-perishable food, cold weather clothing. SOVA actually wants us to go and deliver things online. So if you go to tebh.org/drive, you can contribute. Also, we want lightly used winter clothing. Unless you want to bring socks, those have to be new. So please help out in any way that you can.
And moving forward, High Holidays do not actually end tomorrow night. We have Sukkot next Shabbat, Sukkot Shabbat. We are very excited. It will be in the courtyard, in our sukkah, and we will have the founder of City Greens, which is an amazing urban farm here. We'll have a tower garden. Come join with community for this outside Shabbat before it gets too cool. So please join us. And then the following Friday, we have Simchat Torah with Sisters in the Sukkah. How could I forget? October 4th, join us for Sisters in the Sukkah. Please RSVP for all of these events at tbh.org. We have our book club and our Sisterhood Challah Bake also coming up. We have Simchat Torah the following Friday. We need you so we can unwrap the Torah and all the way around this synagogue. The more
And we have
people,
some
the better.
Israeli dancing afterward
Israeli
with
dancing with Michelle and mostly kosher. Please come join us. All right, October 20th, Animal Shabbat, also in the courtyard. Don't bring your dogs in here. If you have a lizard, maybe we'll have a contest, most interesting animal. But we wanted to make sure to advertise that. And it is with our LA Oneg band. So please join us. It's going to be wonderful. And, we've never seen this graphic. Clergy clubs. First of all, join me and co-president Kara Corwin for Mitzvah Makers with Cantor Lizzie Weiss and co-president Kara Corwin.
Just said that.
Join Rabbi Aaron for Movies and Discussion. You'll go to some movies. You'll discuss them. And Outdoors Group. It started nature, hikes, etc. Everything nature.
Those plants look like something that I'm not going to mention at synagogue.
Okay, Rabbi Albin says, to be clear, outdoor experiences. Clergy clubs, these are ways to be involved. All right, and last but not least, I want to say thank you. Maybe some jazz fingers for the choir over here, the intergenerational choir, for our amazing string quartet, our professional octet, Bill Schmidt, Nathan Heldman, our maintenance team, security, Sarah Heiner, executive director, everybody who has participated in our services, Torah readers, shofar sounders, we would not be here without you. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
As we close our service, please rise.
And we will ask you to swiftly move onto your cars so the next group can come in.
Actually, into your cars.
Into your cars, yeah, not onto them.
Tonight we began our teshuvah, our return. We returned to this space, and again at this time, we searched the darkness to find the light inside of us. In truth and with kindness, to discover ourselves for now. That's the endeavor. To break open our hearts, peer inside, return to ourselves, whatever that means, and whoever that is. For now, we return again and again inside to discover, to learn, to listen, to return.
We return.
We return.
We return.
We return.
We return. Return again. We return.
We return.
We return.
We return. We return.
Again and again to we return again to love.
Gemar Chatima Tova. May you have an easy fast. Tzom Kal. Laila Tov, everybody.